this is Nicole. Welcome to my channel. In this video, I'm going to create the third character for my ongoing project, The Walking Forest. I'm really excited because it's going to be another magical creature, though this one is going to be a bit unusual.
How come?
I'm going to make a witch tree. What is a witch tree? Well, it's mainly a tree that is also a witch. I'll explain as we go. For now, let's start with the armature. I'm using crafting wire to create the main shape of my tree. The idea is to form a humanized figure that can walk, since this creature is going to be part of the walking forest. As the name suggests, the forest is moving, along with everything that inhabits it. So she must be able to walk. In fact, she's not just walking, she's leading the way.
Ooh.
The thing is that I don't like trees with legs. I don't know why, but every time I have seen something like that, it seems to me really off. To my mind, one of the main characteristics in a tree is the trunk and its stability. So I can picture a tree with 1,000 hands, but a tree with legs, it's not a tree anymore. So I found myself wondering, how does a tree walk if it doesn't have any legs? And then I realized it's not really about walking, it's about moving. And you don't necessarily need legs to move. I imagined her crawling, using her roots, the way an octopus uses its tentacles to move when it's out of the water. So no legs, just roots. And that's all my old lady needs to move. Okay, chapter 2, clay cover. I am using super sculpting, which is a type of polymer clay. In general, I prefer polymer clay over air dry clay. There are many reasons for that, but the main one is that I hate the feeling of dry hands that air dry clay causes. So, although there are some occasions when I use air dry clay, especially when it's blended with other materials that aren't safe to go in the oven, most of the time I prefer polymer clay. I started by attaching small sheets of clay onto her until she was completely covered. In the end, I ended up with this lovely little creature that looks like a zombie mummy. Alright, time to make her look more like a tree. I made a few clay cords and started blending them into the first layer. I'm trying to create those wooden-looking veins you see on some tree trunks, so organic and textured. I love how it's coming together. It's really starting to resemble a tree trunk. I could just add a few more details up top and stop there. But this isn't an ordinary tree. She is a living creature, something that moves, and I want that idea to come through in her design. So I decided to add smaller clay cords all over her body. I want to mimic the folds of fabric like those you see in a long flowing dress. This way, the trunk will look a bit more flexible and alive. To smooth out the texture and help the smaller cords blend together nicely, I am using a bit of rubbing alcohol along with my clay tools. After that, I'm scratching the surface with a sharp tool to create that rough wooden texture. Now, let me tell you a few words about this old lady. As I said before, she's one of the mystical creatures of the walking forest. And she's old, very old. She is the oldest creature in the woods. In fact, she is as old as the forest itself. And there can be no forest without her, because through her roots and her spells, she keeps everything and everyone connected.
Everything is connected.
Without her, everything would fall into an endless void of no time. She's neither good nor bad. She is essential. Ancient knowledge flows through her wooden veins. To me, she is the most mysterious creature I've created so far. I don't know what she thinks or what she feels. I just feel an endless respect for her. I was slightly stressed about how her face would turn out. I wanted that quiet neutrality, neither good nor bad thing, to be carved into her expression. Something wise, ancient, and just a little bit intimidating. I think I somehow managed to achieve that, though the intimidating part turned out to be a bit stronger than I intended. But that's okay, it suits her just fine. After I finished the face and body, I started preparing the branches. I created sockets in two of them as extra decorative details. After that, it was time for the real wood. I have a huge collection of broken wood pieces. I just can't restrain myself from picking them up wherever I go. I love using them in my projects, so of course she's going to have real branches. I think they'll make her look even more organic and real. And since I had the materials, I thought it would be nice to add some curvy pieces to her roots to make them look more realistic. I created the sockets so I could glue them in later. Then I carefully selected the pieces for her head. I chose ones that were interesting but not too big, so they wouldn't overlap too much, and with shapes that felt a bit wild and spiky. I used the wires that extended out of her head to secure them, and then I covered what was left with clay. Time for one of my favorite parts. It's the moment where you get to see results instantly. I started with the dark brown as the base color. It won't be the main shade though. Brown is too lively for an old tree. The idea is to build on this base with lighter tones, so they look worn and faded by time. And so the process begins. I'm done with the main painting, but there are two more essential steps that will hopefully give her the look I'm aiming for: black wash and dry brush. I started with the black wash. I mixed just a drop of black paint into a lot of water and gave her a bath. I love how the watered down paint highlights every crack in her surface, making her look even older. And I don't know why, but there is something oddly satisfying about applying the black wash. Maybe the smooth flow of the paint? I'm not sure, but I really enjoy it. Time for the final stage of painting, the moment of truth. She turned out darker than I expected, despite the lighter layers I added. So I'm applying a lot of dry brushing with white paint to give her that silver shade I see on old trees. The outcome paid off. I then darkened the eyes, and with that, the wooden part of this old, wise and slightly grumpy grandma was now ready. And there she is, with all her tiny leaves and plenty of moss growing on her. Unfortunately, I accidentally deleted all the videos I had of this part.
No. No!
Yep, me at my brightest.
Don't let it happen again.
So you don't get to see how I did it, but I can give you a quick description. I used this Christmas decoration, I guess it's some kind of artificial grass. I cut it into small pieces and glued them onto the branches one by one. Then I added the first layer of moss, which I had made some time ago out of a sponge. On top of that, I added the second layer of a brighter colored moss. And this is the outcome. I like it overall, but I feel like something's a bit off. I think the color of the leaves is too green, too vibrant, and it doesn't quite match the rest of the character. So I'm going to try darkening them down a little. I got the result I wanted. Now it's time to move on to the next chapter. Let's make an old lantern for this witch. I decided to use egg carton for the skeleton. It's soft material, might make it easier for me to perform the tiny cuts that are needed compared to regular cardboard. I've only used this material once before to create stone slabs, and it was perfect. It has a great rough texture that makes it ideal for surfaces like stone, wood, or even old metal. So, this lantern she'll be holding, it's going to be magical, of course. A unique object that plays a very important role in the life of the forest. This lantern is even older than she is, and that's almost beyond measure. It passes from witch tree to witch tree since the beginning of time. Because witch trees aren't born that way. They become at some point in their life the moment they receive that lantern. At that moment, they are blessed with all the wisdom and knowledge needed to perform their important role, a double task. Through their magic, They keep everything and everyone in the forest connected. And through the lantern, they know when it's time for the forest to move. Because that's the only time this magical lantern lights up. And when that happens, it is the witch tree's responsibility to give the signal so everything and everyone begins the search for a new place. To make this lantern as elaborate as it deserves to be, I reached into my jewelry supplies. I found these cute little metallic elements that I'm going to use to decorate it. I think they are perfect for the vintage elegant style I'm aiming for. Once I built the two main parts, I primed them using black acrylic. And after that, I used the most inappropriate glue to attach the metallic elements onto the egg carton, wood glue. Thank God it worked. I then dried it using my heat gun. When wood glue is treated with heat, it creates an interesting rough texture, and that was the whole reason I did it in the first place. After that, I painted everything with a mix of metallic color and black acrylic. I completed the painting, of course, with a lot of white dry brushing to create the look of old metal that has lost its shine long time ago. The final touch for the lantern, the 4 tiny glasses, one for each side. I used the lid of a plastic container for that. I cut 4 small parts and splattered them with brown acrylic to make them look dirty. After all, this lantern lives in the woods. There are no window cleaners out there. After that, I glued them on the inside of the lantern using once again wood glue, which this time it was actually the right choice. The magical lantern is ready and I think it turned out quite cute. Time to hang it on the witch tree. I used a small metallic ring for that, which I had previously distressed it with a bit of black paint to make it look aged. Now it's time to move on to the final accessory. We have already established that this granny is very old. She's been around a long time, and the years that have passed are visible on her hunched body. It would be much easier for her if she had a cane to support her during this journey, which is her final one. After that, she will deliver the lantern to a younger tree and be free of her responsibilities, ready to live the rest of her life however she wants. So, to give her a cane, I chose a simple piece of driftwood, smoothed by sea and the sun, so it wouldn't look like it came straight from her own body. I painted using brown and black acrylics, distressed it using paper towel while the paint was still wet, and attached it to her hand with wood glue. And with that final act, this old and wise witch was finally complete. Let's have a proper look. What do you think of this funny combination of a witch and a tree? Do you like it? Do you like her story? Do you have any ideas for mixed creatures yourself? Please let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear them. I hope you enjoyed this video and the making process. If you did, you can hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more magical creatures. You can check out the other characters of the walking forest in my previous videos. 3 are already done, 1 more is coming, and then this little company will finally be gathered in one full project. Till then, thank you so much for watching, and I wish you great crafting adventures. See you next time!